Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. A pleasure to be with you here in beautiful Marrakech. And of course, you had Eternal Daughter here last year and just landed in the UK. I was talking to Tilda about it earlier. A long process. I know you had the initial idea 10 years ago, and working with Tilda. She called it a magical confusion about your mothers, which I thought was a very beautiful phrase. What does it mean to you to see this film finally land?
Well, it's a very important moment that it arrives in the UK because it's been a while coming. We made it now a couple of years ago, and I haven't watched it again since I finished it, so I don't watch the work again because it's a very intense experience making the film. This was a particularly wonderful experience because I was working with an old friend, someone who I've worked with very early on my film school films. We did 2 films when I was at film school, and then we had a hiatus of about 30 years of not working together while we went off each doing different things and then coming together on the souvenirs. And then The Eternal Daughter for us is particularly special because we had Tilda is in every frame of the film, pretty much. And it was a very joyful experience going deep into our relationship with our mothers. I knew Tilda's mother, she knew my mother. So it was actually a very joyful experience. Despite the subject matter, it was the process of making it was really exciting and a very creative time, of course.
And this amazing collaboration that you have, and of course she's absolutely phenomenal in this film. And then reading about the fact that you just have this framework and she's actually kind of inhabiting these 2 people, one after the other, and speaking spontaneously from them. She was like, she doesn't even think of it as a character, but really, taking on that persona. What was it like kind of pulling that off and seeing this performance come to life in front of you?
Well, it's the making a film, from the first idea to when you're actually shooting and then putting it together was, quite a length of time, obviously. And to describe the process, I'm not sure if you would want me to start from the beginning, but to say that working with Tilda, somebody I know so well and who knows me so well, there was an incredible depth of trust between us, which meant we could go very deeply into the subject, which is very important to both of us. This idea of who we are as daughters and who our mother is, the mystery of our mothers, and maybe the mystery of being daughters to our mothers. So it's a very complex subject, and I would describe it as a model of our lives, the lives of Tilda and myself, and the story we're telling. And Tilda was remarkable to be able to improvise these 2 people and go from being daughter to mother, often in the same day. We would shoot in the morning, say Julie, the daughter, and then in the afternoon, her mother. And Tilda would, I always said, oh, do you need a bit of time to recover from doing one before going on to the other? And she always had the energy. She was so excited with the work we were doing and had so much energy and was so brave, actually.
And just kind of the subtleties of the changes she makes. She was talking about like even the English that Rosalind uses, being this sort of slightly different kind of English, using turns of phrase that perhaps you don't hear as much anymore. And it's only when you sort of think back that you realise just how much nuance there is there.
Yeah, I think that's right. And because Tilda's improvising, I don't think she always knew what she was going to come out with next. She worked in such an instinctive way. And it was so wonderful to watch because, of course, one's watching something unfold. Normally, when someone makes a film, it's scripted and you sort of know what's going to happen next. And in the case of The Eternal Daughter, the excitement was not always knowing and being able to change the storyline as we went along.
Of course, it is imbued with this feeling of kind of a ghost story, the sort of location of almost like a haunted house. And I know that you were speaking to Scorsese and he was suggesting to watch all these kind of ghost stories. And you can even think of it, your mother, as like a future ghost. We all maybe end up being like our mothers. So how did that kind of imbue the look and feel of the film, this idea of kind of a ghost story?
Well, yes, it was very exciting to decide to make a genre film in a way. I wouldn't call it fully a genre film, but I take the shape of a gothic story, and then it becomes its own thing. But I loved. I mean, it was one of the most exciting parts of making the film was the preparation and reading ghost stories. I think I read more ghost stories than I saw. It gives you more freedom because when you watch a film and you think, oh, I want to do something like that, there isn't the excitement of engaging your imagination in the same way. So I read a lot of short ghost stories by Edith Wharton, for example. M.R. James had a big influence, and then of course Rudyard Kipling's They.
I was reading that also perhaps, looking forward, do you have some projects you're working on, maybe going in a new direction? There was this short film you did, kind of moving to LA, seeing that, with fresh eyes. Can you tell us a bit about that film and what you hope to do in future, what you've got coming up next?
Well, I'm probably going to disappoint you because it's very hard to talk about future work. It's partly superstition and partly I don't know myself exactly what the next film's going to be, but I'm always trying to push myself in a new direction that I haven't been before. So I feel it will be new territory if I'm able to get there.
And of course, being here at the film festival, being on this jury, what a fantastic opportunity. How have you found the experience so far? And what are you going to be looking for the films you're going to be watching throughout the week?
Well, I'm trying to keep a really open mind, actually. It's really nice to watch films and not know anything about them. I haven't read anything about them, even if they've shown in other festivals. And so going in, not knowing anything about the filmmaker or the story, or even sometimes where they're from, and just sitting there and letting the film come to you in a way. So I think the most important thing, I believe, is to be open-minded and not judge too quickly.
In your films that have been very autobiographical, do you find the filmmaking process quite cathartic? Do you almost feel like it helps you process things that you think and feel, whether it's about your mother, whether it's about something else?
Well, I used to believe in that idea of film as catharsis, and having made The Eternal Daughter and then losing my mother after making it or when we were editing it, I realized that, the real life or films can't replace real life, and one still has to go through the grieving and the experience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Really enjoy the rest of the time here in Marrakech. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.